buses! Are you kidding me? This is private property!
The story begins on a quiet weekend morning when the peace of a private estate was shattered by the roar of diesel engines and the squeal of brakes. 7 full-size buses, crammed with strangers, rolled down the narrow country road and turned straight into a rancher's gates. Within minutes, the once serene property was overrun with hundreds of loud, rowdy partiers unloading coolers, speakers, and folding chairs like they had just arrived at a festival ground. The owner of the land had no idea what was happening. From his porch, he watched in disbelief as people he had never seen before spilled across his fields, setting up tents, dragging kegs, and blasting music. The crowd treated the property as if it were public parkland, completely ignoring the "No trespassing" signs nailed to fence posts at every entrance. At first, the homeowner thought it was some kind of terrible mistake. Maybe the buses had gotten lost or mixed up with a nearby event. But when he tried to confront the drivers and ask why they had unloaded passengers on private land, he was met with a chilling response. One of the bus drivers simply shrugged and pointed down the road, saying that the event had been booked by a Karen, the HOA president of a neighboring subdivision. She had told everyone that the land belonged to the HOA and was open for community use. In that moment, the truth sank in. This wasn't a mistake. It was deliberate. The Karen in charge of the HOA had grown increasingly bitter over the years, resenting the rancher for refusing to sell his land to the association. She had accused him of being selfish for not letting the neighborhood expand its amenities, and once even claimed that his private acreage should be considered common land for residents. Now, it was clear she had gone beyond petty arguments and taken matters into her own hands. She had actually organized an entire party, booked transportation, and sent 7 full buses of people onto someone else's property without permission. The situation escalated fast. The partiers, emboldened by the false assurance that they had a right to be there, treated the land with zero respect. Trash piled up in corners of the field. Beer bottles shattered against fence posts. Some even trampled through a section of the rancher's vegetable garden, crushing crops he had worked hard to maintain. And as the day went on, the music grew louder, the drinking wilder, and the property damage worse. The rancher knew he needed to act quickly. He documented everything, snapping photos and recording videos of the buses, the crowds, and the damage. He captured license plates, bus company logos, and even overheard guests mentioning Karen's event. Then, he called law enforcement. When sheriff's deputies arrived, the chaos was undeniable. Hundreds of strangers were sprawled across the property, and the buses still sat parked along the fence line. The officers attempted to disperse the crowd, but even they were stunned when the HOA president herself appeared on site, wine glass in hand, trying to claim she had authority over the land. She waved her arms and insisted that the party was legitimate, saying the rancher was just being difficult as usual. The deputies didn't buy it. They escorted the crowd off the property, forced the bus drivers to reload their passengers, and shut down the illegal gathering. But the damage was already severe. Crops had been destroyed, fences were bent, and the cleanup alone would take days. The rancher wasn't about to let it slide. He took every shred of evidence to court, filing a lawsuit against the HOA president personally. And when the case reached the judge, the scope of Karen's stunt came crashing down on her like a hammer. The judge didn't just see a case of trespassing, he saw premeditated abuse of power. Karen had lied to hundreds of people, organized an unauthorized event, and knowingly used private land without consent. It wasn't just a civil matter. It was criminal. The courtroom was silent as the judge listed the charges: trespassing, property damage, reckless endangerment, and fraud. Each busload of people she had sent onto that land was counted as a separate act of trespassing, multiplying the weight of her offenses. The damages climbed into the tens of thousands, and the legal costs piled higher. Karen's smugness evaporated in an instant. She tried to argue, tried to claim it was all a misunderstanding, but the evidence was overwhelming. Videos showed her inviting people to the party, emails confirmed she had booked the buses, and witnesses testified that she had assured everyone the property belonged to the community. The ruling was brutal. Not only was she held personally liable for all damages and cleanup costs, but she was also sentenced with criminal penalties. Community service, probation, and a hefty fine were handed down on top of the civil judgment. Her position as HOA president was immediately stripped, and the entire association distanced themselves from her, claiming they had no knowledge of her actions. In the neighborhood, her reputation was shattered. Neighbors who once followed her lead now whispered about her downfall, shaking their heads at how far she had gone in her obsession with control. The buses that once rolled proudly into someone else's land became a symbol of her arrogance, a reminder of just how badly she miscalculated. As for the rancher, justice had been served. His land was restored, his rights upheld, and the HOA that had once tried to bully him was now left in disarray. The buses left, but the lesson remained. It was a reminder that no matter how entitled or powerful someone believes they are, the law is stronger. And when someone dares to send 7 busloads of strangers onto private land, there will be consequences, the kind that echo far beyond one party, one HOA, or one petty Karen. Because in the end, the story wasn't about a party at all. It was about respect, boundaries, and accountability. And this time, Karen learned that lesson in the hardest way possible, with criminal charges that would haunt her for years to come. Do like, subscribe for more.